What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to probably a forgotten series to most of you. Back in the day, about that was just gay. About a year ago, maybe a year and a half. It's been a long time, but we used to do podcasts. It usually consists of me, Thomas, or aka Jugs Gaming, Carlos, our Tattooed Bones, and sometimes Kelton or Killjoy. But obviously those guys have moved on with things, and they don't really do YouTube anymore. And, you know, we all know Carlos is doing his own thing now.
Carlos a G, so...
Yeah, he's a real homie still. But it's just still back to the basics of me and Thomas. So what we're going to be talking about today is mainly the KSI versus Logan Paul fight, and the Deji versus Jake Paul fight. So, yeah, I think we can just go into it.
I mean, both times it had the polar opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I honestly expected that Deji was going to win the first fight and Logan Paul was going to win the second, but did not seem to happen that way.
Yeah. Probably should have put a spoiler warning ahead of time because we're only a minute into this, but I'm sure you guys have gotten it spoiled for you by now. So we're going to go into it by chronological order. I'll do a little bit more talking at the beginning part because Thomas actually wasn't here for the very first fights. I didn't see the first one, but I joined in on the Raka versus Scarce fight, which that one honestly went hard. I was only in it for, I think, half of the second round and the rest of the third round, and they went hard. Scarce and Raka fought to the death, and honestly, Raka came out with the win, and it was expected, but Scarce is not fat anymore. He is toned out. Ridiculous how much that dude has changed. If you saw him in that fight, it would be crazy.
I have no idea who he is.
You don't know Scarce? Keemstar's polar opposite?
Yeah, I've probably seen him. I just never really...
What's up, guys? It's Scarce here, and he's coming around the corner.
Nope.
Tree. Wow. Have you never seen a meme?
I've seen memes.
That's like the biggest meme of Scarce. God. But anyway, so then it moved on to the... Oh, Lord. I can't remember who went next. It was... I don't remember how to say the guy's name. But something last name Gibb. And then the other guy was Jay. I can't say his last name at all, but Jay. Gibb and Jay. We'll just go by that because that's what they refer to him in the fight. Gibb ended up taking the win, and it was a slaughter. I think it ended up going to decision on this one. Yeah, it did. It went up to decision, and it was so one-sided. It was ridiculous. I didn't have to call out the numbers or anything because it was just nonstop pummel. Guy just went in on him. We'll have to watch that one later. And then after that was the Deji versus Jake Paul fight. Now, this one was intense. Now, obviously, now we're getting into the main events. So, you know, they're the undercard performance. And, of course, the KSI versus Logan Paul was the main event. And, boy, did these guys put on a show. The amount of smack talk they were talking beforehand, such as Jake Paul going like, it's first-round knockout. First-round knockout. Was not the case. Now, who are you rooting for the whole time?
For the Deji one?
Yeah.
Honestly, I was really hoping Deji was going to pull through because it's like you said while we were watching it, I really wanted to see the kind of underdog win, and he had the disadvantage in height and reach from what I remember, and he also just didn't seem like he was as serious about it. He walked in there very calm, and he wasn't hyped up or anything. It almost felt like he was an omnipotent force, but he just didn't carry through with that.
Yeah. He didn't have a reach advantage, but had a height disadvantage. They were about the same in reach, I think maybe off by an inch, which doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right.
After that, like you said, he was going to that very ominous feel. And honestly, it kind of worked. You could sort of see, you know, the crowd getting into it. Mm-hmm. But Jake and Logan Paul were doing so well in this mental preparation that, honestly, they just weren't fazed by either of the two brothers' games.
Right.
It was crazy. So, Jake Paul was calling first-round knockout, and honestly, I don't think the first round was Jake Paul's at all. I think if it went to decision, Deji would have won the first round.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every hit Deji landed from round 1 all the way through, I think, what was it, round 5 they went to?
Yeah,
4 or
yes,
5?
They went to 5.
So, like, all the way from round 1 to 5, even though he wasn't exactly throwing a lot of hits, I'd say each one that clearly connected, was a full tank. I mean, he just didn't really mess around with any light jabs and whatnot.
No, not at all. When he hit to kill.
Right. And then there was Jake Paul, and Jake Paul was a little bit of everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, Jake Paul definitely, you can kind of tell that he was more focused into it. He really wanted this. I think he was really... Honestly, it was kind of like that determination that he thought Logan Paul was going to lose his fight, so he wanted them to at least have one of the wins.
Right.
Because he was in there with bounded determination. Mm-hmm. Now, the announcers were talking, these guys truly have some bad blood with each other. I don't know how much now, and we'll get into that, especially the after-fight performance after we talk about the Logan versus KSI.
Right.
There's a couple points I want to go into, but we have to talk about the other one first.
Right.
So, they wanted to kill each other. They were trying to hit each other as hard as they can to totally knock the other one out, make the other one look like a fucking bitch.
Right.
So, it was a good fight. Deji ended up going all the way to round 5, I think.
It was very entertaining.
48 seconds into the 5th round, something like that? Or was it a minute 48?
It was, I want to say it was around a minute, so I think 48.
I don't remember. But either way, 5th round, which is a lot farther than what everyone's expecting. Keemstar was even there and said Deji was going to end up pulling the win. And that's kind of what it was looking like for a while. But Deji was doing a really good job keeping his hands up, blocking. But you could tell definitely by that 5th round, he was, really wearing down. And he actually lost because of his corner throwing in the white towel. I forget you guys that don't know what a white towel throwing is. The white towel is your corner protecting you pretty much, saying that you're done. They're making the decision for you. Basically, your trainer, your coach, tells the ref that we forfeit on his behalf.
Right.
So,
I gotta say, I think it was by the 3rd round, though, that both of them were just exhausted, it already looked like. Because you could tell their punches were a lot lighter, and they were moving more sluggishly, and they were getting into clinches a little bit more and whatnot.
Honestly, I think that's I keep going back to what the announcer said, but those guys are like true boxers, some of them, so They made some really good points. That because the amount of mental game that Jake Paul built, that it wasn't going to go past the 1st round, I really don't think he had a game plan past that 1st round. Mm-hmm. Such as like when you see with other boxers, definitely KSI's like during the Joe Waller fight, and even this fight, kind of the 1st round, he takes a lot more hits, he's studying the opponent, and then we'll start progressively just ragging on him, going for that TK or KO.
Right.
So... Now we get into... That's basically all there is to know fighting-wise about Deji versus Jake Paul. A lot of it, we want to talk about is after the fight, or at least what I want to talk about. If you have any points to bring up about during the fight, I guess bring that up now.
Yeah, I just kind of want to say that if you compare the two fights, and obviously we're going to get into the Logan Paul and KSI fight now, but if you compare them, it's almost like seeing... I don't even know how to describe it. Like, the Deji fight was a lot more serious. You could tell it was definitely... It almost seemed like it fit a main event slot a little bit better. Not in so much content, but more so in the attitude, how they carried themselves in and everything. But then you watch...
I feel a sneeze coming.
Bless you.
Didn't work.
Dang it. Well, that peaked the mic. No, but then you watch the Logan Paul versus KSI fight, and it was just... It was quite goofy, but we'll get into that here now.
Alright, so now we get into our main event, and this has been building up so much hype. I've been honestly hyped, and this fight had so much intensity in the live stream that I got Thomas hyped, because until today he came over to my house, and I already paid for the event, and me and my little brother were watching it in my room on the big screen, surround sound on, and I'm like, yo, you ready to watch it? Who do you think's going to win, Logan Paul or KSI? And he looked at me, he's like, I thought that was a meme.
Honestly, because I heard about it, like, very rarely. It was just kind of scattered, but... I mean, then again, it was built up for how long? 8 months?
About 8 months, something like that.
So I just heard about it scattered in very few glances, so I always just thought it was like a short, dead meme that came up, like something about an argument between them, and then, no, it turned out to be a lot of fun and very intense.
Yeah, and, we put a little wager on it. We just did the money that we had in our wallets, and I pay for pretty much only debit card. Right. So I had $2 in my wallet. I'd rather have done... if I had someone that, wasn't as invested in this as I was, probably would have done like a $20 wager. But, situation just didn't happen. So, oh well, it's not that big of a deal.
I mean, if I knew more about this and I had been following it as long and I had enough time to make up my own opinion, I probably would have been willing to do like a $10, $20 wager as well, but...
Yeah, but either way, he had his money on Logan Paul just because that was the only one he heard of. He hasn't really heard of KSI. I personally had my 100% thoughts on KSI. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to get into the match. The two come out, and they're both playing. They're walking out to their diss tracks. They have this super serious demeanor about them. And, Jake Paul, or Logan Paul, is coming out with this, mask that looks like Bane. And Jake Paul did the same thing, but his is white.
Right.
So I don't know what that was about.
I think they were trying to play polar opposites because keep in mind Jake Paul was all white and Logan's was all black, with the exception of his white. What was it, Maverick or Maverick?
It said his name in Maverick.
Right.
But you know, I like their demeanor. I thought it was really good. But if they were gonna go kind of like, I wish Logan Paul would have been a little bit more energetic because the people. Yeah, I don't like Logan Paul as a YouTube creator. You know, I have respect for him. He's capitalized on this website entirely. But I just don't like his content because he's too in-your-face, too peppy about it. And it would have been nice to see him come out as that. You know, you can kind of tell it was fake. He's not like that. Even from a person that doesn't watch him could tell that that was definitely a performance.
It was a show.
But then you have KSI that came out wearing this ominous mask to his diss track. And honestly, On Point is one of the best like YouTube rap songs I've ever heard.
It was pretty good. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I was more so kind of studying the attire, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I love On Point.
I mean, I liked his outfit and everything. It was dope. I'll give him that.
So KSI came out with this mask. That, honestly, it's an airsoft mask that I could go out and buy on Amazon for like $16, but it's really menacing. Did the perfect job of what he wanted. You couldn't see his face at all. You couldn't even see his eyes, and he's walking around all ominous-like. And, you know, KSI has built a reputation, even though with the one boxing match he had, as being the Nightmare. And even Joe Weller, the one guy that was, if you didn't know who that was, he was the guy sitting in between the two casters. He was in the caster booth.
Okay, gotcha.
He was the smaller one wearing the blue suit.
Right, he didn't say as much, I remember.
Yeah, he said a lot in the in-between shows.
Okay.
But, he ended up boxing KSI when KSI, at the end, called out Logan Paul because he won that fight. And he even said, he's like, I have massive respect for KSI because that dude can throw a punch and take a punch. He's scary. He is the Nightmare. So ever since then, KSI's been referred to the Nightmare. And he really played into that role of trying to be as intimidating as possible. Sadly, it didn't really work to Logan Paul. He I'm quite honestly impressed, kept a really stone cold mind, totally was focused. And the best part is, honestly, I sent goosebumps down my back and my arms, was when they took off the mask and he's just sitting there with this creepy devilish smile, like, you're done.
That threw me off.
You are done.
It didn't help that while he was walking in, they showed a clip of, I think, probably one of his videos or something from one of his songs, and, like, they did the whole editing with his eyes where it went
that was
white. Like
that was the very beginning of On Point.
Right. And
I'll have to show you the actual song. I forgot you weren't here when it came out.
No.
Because it was me, Clark, and Brady that were all sitting here, and I got on YouTube and it happened to come out. So we watched it then and hyped to this fight. So, they showed their intro videos, their hype up videos, their training, and then the bell rang in the first round start. Now, it was not looking good from the start.
For KSI.
For anybody that doesn't know KSI, because what KSI likes to do is kind of, take a moment, pay attention to his opponent, and he takes a lot of punches during that first round. He got, honestly, in score-wise, his ass whooped that first round.
I thought my money was, like, easy gained, honestly.
Yeah. And, Thomas is sitting over here the whole time. He's, like, with this kind of shitty grin on his face. He's even on his phone half the time in this first round. He's thinking, oh, easy cash. Second round comes, and KSI starts jabbing a little more. Still round went to Logan, but damn did a switch flip.
I'll give KSI credit. In the first two rounds, even though he was taking a lot of hits, the way he was holding up his hands with the palms toward Logan, he just was, anytime he actually wanted to block a hit, you could tell because he would just swap it aside. It didn't matter.
Oh, yeah, and his evading was insane.
Oh, yeah. They both were really good about dodging.
I think KSI was phenomenal, though.
Absolutely.
There was so many devastating hits that, Logan is a fast striker. Mm-hmm. For as big as he is and a heavyweight, he's a fast striker.
I think some of those could have been a little lethal.
Yeah, honestly, if he could have landed some of those in those first few rounds, would have been deadly. Mm-hmm. But KSI was just dodging them. Just perfect dash back. If you guys get a chance to watch this fight, watch it and pay attention to how quickly KSI can move.
Absolutely.
It is amazing how quick that guy can move. And so when it hits about the third round, this is where KSI flips that switch and figured out what Logan Paul was going to do, what he can do to distract him. And KSI has a little bit of a different striking style where he'll kind of bend over and sort of look like he's going to hit you in the body, but at the same time he's going to hit you in the head. So he gives you a huge body strike, then you go to block and he just whaps you upside the head. I think every time he did that until it hit about the fifth round, though every strike like that was landing.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
Round 3, I'd say easily went to KSI, even though it was a lot of clinches because I don't think Logan was expecting that kind of response, that kind of sudden switch of acting because he just kept clinching up any chance he could. And it was aggravating to me. You were vocalizing your aggravation, but I was just sitting there watching it like, this is looking bad.
I know. I was sitting there like, come on, Logan, you pussy.
Right.
I was getting mad. Honestly, I think also the ref was a little bit biased towards KSI, too. Honestly, I truly think that. Obviously I was rooting for KSI, but truly that isn't something I was just saying in the heat of the moment when, Logan landed a few strikes. Because there would be times where KSI gets Logan in the clinch, and they'll separate him and then waste like 10 seconds of the match giving a stern talking to KSI.
Right.
But then Logan was the one that honestly did more clinches than anybody.
KSI got talked to a lot during that match, more so than Logan Paul for sure. And I don't watch enough of actual boxing, regular boxing, to really know what was off and what wasn't, so I can't really throw
I don't know entirely the rules that he would have broken. Maybe he wasn't biased. He was just... KSI was genuinely breaking a lot of the rules.
Right.
But to me, from a non-boxing enthusiast standpoint, it just kind of looked like it was like Logan Paul can do it, but KSI can't. Mm-hmm. Especially with the pushing. That thing, that one time when Logan Paul pushed KSI over the rope and had his back of his neck on the rope.
That was a little dangerous.
That was... that could have honestly killed him.
If this were dirty boxing, the way it was is that Logan Paul pushed KSI up to the ropes and basically had him bent over him, and he was raising his fist like he was getting ready to crucify the dude. But
the ref stopped it.
Right. If he would have made that hit with enough force, he easily could have just thrown the dude over the ropes. It would have been bad.
Yeah, that would have been a dirty strike. Now, there was one part that KSI did Logan dirty, but I still don't think he did that on purpose. What I'm talking about is that I think it was the second round. They were both in a pretty tight little clinch, almost clenched, but they kept breaking and still swinging at each other.
I'm pretty sure it was 3 or 4. I think I know what you're talking about when he landed the extra.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But the bell, either way, it doesn't matter. They were both clenched up, pretty close, and they were just wailing on each other. And the bell rang, and the ref separated them, and KSI hit him one more time. After the bell, now he got a stern talking to about it. And honestly, that might be what, caused the result. Point-wise. So,
because I don't think Logan had any issues like that from what I remember. He didn't do anything after the bell or whatnot.
Yeah, but he did do a lot of dirty stuff. That pushing definitely was bad.
They both
almost
fell into
pushing
the
him
corner.
out of the ring.
Right.
Did that multiple times.
That situation where they were both pushed into the corner, though, I don't really know who was at fault there because they both seemed to accidentally
I think it was more
fall,
of just a walk into it, and then, they accidentally tripped on each other.
It seems logical. There was a point where they both were approaching a corner, and I think KSI was the one in the corner, and he seemed to, suddenly just trip and slide down it with his back to it, and Logan, fell towards the ropes next to him. So, yeah. I just want to point that out.
So, definitely, but what I was saying beforehand, I think he didn't do that on purpose, the dirty shot. I think what happened, when you kind of get in the motion of doing something, and you're just, I'm sure at that point, both those guys saw total red and weren't even, proactively thinking about their striking. They were just wailing on each other.
Oh, yeah, because they were
in a tight clinch. None of them was hitting, deadly punches because of how close they were. You can't get enough force on it.
They were wild.
They were just totally going at it, and I think it's just kind of one of those last-minute instinctive movements because he was kind of looking away. You can sort of tell he had the intent, mentally wanted to move away, but just ended up landing one more. Mm-hmm. But it didn't seem, and also the other reason I don't think it was intentional because it was a pretty light punch because Logan kind of, shifted a little bit because, a punch is a punch.
Right.
But, kind of looked at him like, dude, really? It didn't end up hurting him that bad.
KSI even looked a little shocked, too, right after he did it when he was getting pushed away by the ref. So, I'll give him that.
Yeah. But a lot of stern talking to KSI. I don't really know if he did anything truly. That's not up to me to decide. I want to watch more boxing. I love boxing, but, I'd rather watch, a $10 YouTube pay-per-view event than a $120 cable pay-per-view event for a boxing match. Anyway.
Understandable.
So, yeah, that was essentially some of the highlights of the match. Definitely KSI picked up near the end as Logan was losing it towards the end.
Right.
So Logan came out totally swinging. He was putting in some power shots. He was looking for that second or third round knockout.
They were showboating a lot in the first 2 rounds as well, remember?
They were still showboating all the way up to round 4.
Right, because they were smiling, they were talking to each other, their guards weren't entirely up for the first 2 for sure. Mm-hmm. And then round 3 is when it became a little more serious, but they were still goofing.
But KSI, the thing that you can kind of tell that tides were starting to turn, as while Logan's not showboating as much, KSI was doing the exact same thing. It actually was doing it a little bit more. Because as they mentioned, and I've seen the Joe Weller fight and got presented with this fight, the farther it goes on, KSI's stamina is so phenomenal that he could just keep throwing the punches.
Right.
And he was throwing them at the exact same power. It was awesome.
Dude was fighting like a G. I'll definitely give him that much. I think round 5 is when it really started getting interesting, because this went all the way through the 6th round. And 5 and 6 were just intense from like beginning to end, because that was when we both started leaning forward, we were getting louder, we were like cheering for each hit and like complaining about each miss. It was crazy, because we were starting to get, I'd say, pretty relatively hyped up.
Yeah, we were. I was already pretty hyped up during, and hyping this up for this match. And I wanted that $2.
It was a $2 wager. It was pretty cheap.
Honestly, this was a phenomenal match. Both these guys fought their absolute hardest. And what ended up happening was that they went all the way to round 6, and when you don't have a TKO or a KO, it goes to decision. That's where the judges will score you. And it was 58-57, 57-57, 57-57. There's 3 judges. So it was
58
majority.
Went to KSI.
Yeah, KSI won the 58. So it was majority draw. This honestly pissed me off, because it was so, 6 rounds. To me, it was so easily like 4 rounds to KSI. I'd give him like maybe a 3.5, but that's still more than 2.5.
It's pretty arguable, because I always like to argue that the first 2 rounds were easily Logan's. They were just given to him. And those are the only 2 rounds that he dominated, because, again, they were given to him. And then there were 2 rounds where it was absolutely KSI. He just completely dominated. But I still feel like there were two-ish rounds. Maybe like I don't remember which ones. I think it was the 4th and another that were just like, they were so match, punch for punch, dodge for dodge, clinch for clinch kind of deal, where they just, it was really, really close, and that's the only things I could see even honestly, equating up to a draw.
I feel that there's only one round like that, and that was round 3. When KSI started trying again, but Logan still had his stamina, because round 4 was KSI's, hands down. Because that was when he rocked his shit multiple times.
That's true.
And then, round 5 was another one where he got his shit rocked. And then round 6 was when they were more powering off of each other, but KSI still landed more punches.
That's true.
So that's why I feel there's only maybe that one iffy. So no matter what, to me, KSI should have won. I feel like he still had majority.
I'll agree with you there. Even though I was rooting for Logan Paul, he definitely won.
But they called majority draw. And this is where I want to talk about the aftermatch, the stuff these guys talk. Immediately, KSI calls for a rematch. A lot of people are tweeting, this was set up, and it very well could be. You
Possibly.
Never know. Or maybe it was a predetermined thing that if we go this far, we're going to call rematch.
Right. You paid $10 for the YouTube watch thing, and there were how many people watching just from the live stream, not counting tickets, which I'm sure are more expensive.
It was like, I think they said that ticket-wise, there was about 7,000 people there in the stadium. I don't know exactly how much, or maybe like 10,000. It was a big stadium. It was the big Manchester Stadium, but I know they sold out, and it could be more than that.
They made a lot of money off of this,
but,
that much is for sure.
There was, at the time of the Logan Paul versus KSI stream, there was almost 1 million people watching live. So it was pretty phenomenal. They made good bank off of it. And, I'm sure there's some bootleg pirate sites out there, too. So there's more people watching. But the stuff after the fight, I had so much respect for some of these YouTubers. Because, I'm so used to seeing 2 fights go down in high school. When even the fight's broken up and there's a clear winner sometimes, before security gets to them,
right.
If they finish it first. There's so much shit talk. And there's no respect, but for, especially the Deji versus Jake Paul. These guys went in there hating each other. True hate. True bad blood for each other. And they came out saying, I have respect for you. Jake Paul, of course, was a little arrogant, but honestly, he could be. He
thanked Deji, too.
Yeah, he's like, thank you, man. No, that was Logan Paul. Logan Paul thanked KSI.
Okay, I must have mixed it up then, because I know they shook hands and they thanked each other. Or he thanked one.
No, that was KSI versus Logan Paul. But... the Jake Paul versus Deji fight, Jake Paul was sitting there mentioning, it's like, man, I have so much more respect for you. You last a lot longer. I was talking a lot of shit. I can still talk shit and you're going to talk your shit. But that was a good fight. You put up a good work. And, he honestly, Jake Paul really impressed me. He wasn't arrogant at all. He was like, that was a good fight. I ended up winning. Obviously he was going to be a little arrogant about it. But it wasn't like an in-your-face thing. But then we get to the Logan Paul versus KSI. Now, obviously, we expect a little bit more out of these guys because these are both like the biggest showmans of YouTube.
Right.
You know, these guys are just insane. But KSI, you know, was sitting there. He's like, you know, obviously they both, in their own head, thought that they should have won. But you can kind of tell that through KSI's face. You know, that he's kind of like, I should have won. Especially when they, you know, he came up to the, you know, Georgie came up to KSI with the mic, and he's kind of looking at the judges like, really? Really? You know, he was still kind of processing it, but never actually said that, you know, like, hey, I should have won.
I thought he did at one point. Didn't he say that fight? I'm pretty sure I should have won that fight, but it went up to the judge's decision. Or
that was Logan.
God, I'm mixing him up.
So that was what I was just about to say. That, you know, then you have Logan Paul on the other hand is going through this whole spiel, and he says, yeah, even though I should have won, it is what it is. I can't control that. It is what it is. Oh, and one thing I did forget to mention, the one part that Jake Paul was being kind of arrogant was that's when he announced his launch of the new clothing line.
And then he also challenged Chris Brown to a boxing match.
Oh, yeah.
And he challenged some family to a basketball game.
I don't know. So that part, that was kind of the only arrogant part. But honestly, I can't really get mad at him for that, because where else is the better place to do it? I don't think he should have gone into it as much as he did. But maybe just kind of like said something about, you know, 500 shirts only, you know, or going quick, go for it. But,
way to go, champ.
The Logan Paul, this, you know, I honestly was like, you know what, good shit, because, you know, they talked to him before. They gave the mic to these guys, I think, 4 times in total, and you know, gave it to Logan Paul. He's like, man, that was a good fight, you know, and then he goes, even though I think I should have won, you know, it is what it is, and then gave it back to KSI. KSI said a few things, and basically he was like, man, I want a rematch, you know, and then Logan Paul comes up again and says, even though I should have won, it is what it is, so this is what the people want. So here's a rematch. That was fun. And that's all fine and dandy. But then afterwards, when he gets the mic and they're doing the genuine interview with him instead of KSI, he's talking about how this was, you know, his lowest year. And honestly, this is what everybody was saying, because, you know, they're all YouTubers. This has been and the YouTubers that we're watching here are not kid-friendly YouTubers.
Right.
They are, you know, true YouTubers. They're going to make entertaining content just for you. So, you know, he's going on and on and on how this is the worst year for him. And, you know, of course everyone's been saying that with friends backstabbing me. And honestly, I think that has a little bit more truth, because Jake Paul mentioned that too. But didn't dwell on it as much as Logan did. And then the worst part is that he's like, man, I gotta thank you. I really gotta thank you, man. And he sat there, he's like, genuinely, I need to thank you, and shakes his hand. And it was basically like a thank you. You know, you can kind of see it, but I think he's going to use it as like a thank you for, you know, letting me beat your ass. Oh. Honestly, I think that's what I'm end up turning into. We're going to have to wait a few days for, you know, for their own YouTube videos to come out about it, you know, the aftermath of the fight, what they think, or unless they have like a PR, you know, release date that they can't talk about it until X, Y, and Z, because they might want to do their own stuff. But, you know, the other thing, what else did he say before that? I don't remember, but either way, just totally turned back into the asshole, was screaming in the mic again. You know, while KSI honestly kept a pretty well calm and collected self, you know, after a fight, you know, he's being respectable. And honestly, I think KSI still wins my respect 100%. I thought Logan Paul was going to prove me wrong, but I don't know if I'm entirely ashamed to say he didn't, because I was kind of expecting it.
Again, I only went in knowing Logan Paul, so that's the only reason my money was on him.
Yeah, so...
And I even knew what he was like before that, and last time I ever followed anything with him was that whole Japan incident, so...
Yeah. So, in the end result, do I agree with the judges? No. But honestly, the judges might... You know, it might not have been a setup between KSI and Logan Paul. It might have been a judges thing, you know, like, this is making a lot of money, let's do this again.
Right.
You know, they're just close enough to where if we say this, we can get away with it. So, you know, it could... Truly, I do think KSI should have won. I don't think it should have been a draw. But it is what it is. We're going to get a rematch in probably another 8 to 9 months when they set up the next match.
It was entertaining enough, I got to admit. Even though it was a bit of a money grab, I think I would still probably watch the next fight.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't entirely a money grab. You just weren't here for the other matches. The other matches were genuine. They were good. You know, a lot lower YouTubers or YouTubers that, you know, struggling, really just trying to put in the work and prove themselves again and maybe get their name back out there. Like Raka Raka, definitely. He said in their post-match interview that, you know, this year truly has been hard for him, and he's the only, you know, truly he can say this with pride, that they're the only people out there that make the content they do, that will go to the length that they do stunt-wise. You know, their wrestling videos, obviously the wrestling videos are fake, but those stunts are real. Mm-hmm. And they truly go to the hospital all the time, and they're just a phenomenal group, but YouTube, I think, has probably completely demonetized them because they're not advertiser friendly.
Right.
So, you know, you could see the genuine soul in him, and honestly, if Scarce would have won, yeah, I don't know what he would have been saying because he hasn't really been on YouTube in about a year and a half.
Oh.
But, you know, he's just such a personality that's so well known, that's why he kind of was there. Other than that, that's basically it about the Logan Paul versus KSI fight. Very good fight. I enjoyed my time watching it.
It was very entertaining, and I got really hyped into it towards the end.
Yeah, I spent about 4.5 hours of my time watching it today. I missed the first 2 fights because I completely forgot about it, honestly. But for only $10, you know, I'm pretty sure, to me, I got my money's worth out of it, entertainment-wise. And because I purchased it, I can always go back in the live stream DVR and watch it anytime I want.
That's
and
true.
so I can go back and see the old fights. So basically, that's about it for this podcast. Did you want to talk about anything else?
I love you.
Okay, well, I gotta be creepy.
Because I am.
This is why people unsubscribe.
Please
right,
be
guys.
sure to hit that unsubscribe button. I'm just kidding. Please don't. We love you. Don't go.
Alright guys, if you enjoyed this, I know we got a lot of new subscribers to the channel. We're just over 300 subscribers now. If you guys want to see more of this, let us know in the comment section down below. Or if you guys don't want to see more of this, let us know so we're not wasting our time. But otherwise, you know, I think we're going to try to make these a recurring thing again. And we don't really have a name for it, so we're kind of just going to call this podcast, maybe. You know, just for now, a placeholder name to come up with on. I don't know if I really want to bring back Smidwinders Radio, because I've kind of dropped that entirely. You know, I'm not Smidwinder anymore.
To be fair, we are still the original Smidwinders.
Well, we're the only ones.
That's true, but... Anyway, it'll be something to discuss off topic.
Yeah. Alright guys, hope you have a good one. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And because every other YouTuber's saying it, yeah, click that notification bell.